Hi, this is Cooking Kath for Nana's Cookery. This morning we're going to be making pancakes. During the weekends I have a little extra time, so I tend to make a little fancier breakfast, and pancakes is one of my family's favorites. For years I've tried many different recipes, and some were good, some were bad. But years ago my mother-in-law gave me this wonderful cookbook called Amish Mennonite Cookbook. She was Mennonite and always gave me cookbooks with that kind of cooking. So I tried this recipe, and it was called Mother Cloud's Light Pancakes. It only has 1 cup of flour, 1 tablespoon of sugar, 2 tablespoons of baking powder, a half a teaspoon of salt, 1 egg, 2 tablespoons of melted shortening, and 1½ cups of milk. Mixing all those ingredients together, I made those pancakes and my family really loved them. They were really nice and light. The second time I went to make them, I got distracted after making the batter, and the batter sat for actually about 10 minutes longer than the first time I made them. Well, it turns out the pancakes were lighter and fluffier and better, and ever since then I've learned to let the batter set to rest, and then I go off and make some other things getting ready for breakfast. Okay, to make these pancakes you just need a few things from the kitchen. You need to have a nice large bowl, and you need to have a really good whisk. So what I've done here is I have 1 cup of flour in my large bowl. I have 1 tablespoon of the sugar, and then we're going to get 2 tablespoons of the baking powder. I know it sounds like a lot. The first time I made it I thought that must be a mistake because baking powder can sometimes have a potent taste to it, but in this particular recipe it's needed. The other thing I've discovered over time, it's really important that you have fresh baking powder. If you keep your baking powder over 2 or 3 months, it loses some of its rising power. So there's 1 and 2. And then we just need a little bit of salt, a half teaspoon. And remember, never measure over the bowl because you don't want too much of anything. And then goes the salt. And then take your whisk and just move around the flour and the sugar, the baking soda, and the salt into the flour, and make a little bit of a well. Okay. Of course, as Nana always says, break your eggs into something separate. So here we go. Hopefully no shells. Successful. So into the well, you're going to pour the egg, your melted shortening, put that right on top of the egg, and you're going to take your whisk, and in here I have 1.5 cups of milk, and you're going to start stirring, mixing that egg and the butter together, and very gradually, very slowly mixing in the milk. Just stirring in the center so you can see that it's starting to form a batter. And I'm still stirring, constantly stirring as you're adding the milk. Now if you take a look at the batter itself, you can see that it's getting very foamy. So you really want to take your whisk now and whisk it up. What we're going to do right now is we're going to let this rest now for 10 minutes. And we're going to start to make some other things for our breakfast. Well, welcome back to the kitchen. You can see now how the batter has risen in a bowl. I also discovered a long time ago, don't ever make a double batch. Make sure you do it in 2 separate bowls if you're having a big crowd, because this batter does definitely rise from when you first start it. So I have my griddle across 2 burners. I've let it heat to a medium heat. So we're going to put a little spray on the griddle. Not too much. And then you're going to see, as I break the batter, and give it a little bit of a stir. Again, Mother Cloud's recipe didn't say to really stir this up, but again, you can see now it sort of collapses down, and it now looks more like a traditional pancake batter. So the thing with my family is I'm the only one who likes them plain. My son likes chocolate chips, and my husband likes fruit. So today I'll have blueberries for him, and chocolate chips for my son. So I use a measuring cup, about 1/3 cup. Alright, so put a couple chocolate chips, and 3 of them. Some nice blueberries. This time they're from Michigan. If I can ever get blueberries from Maine, they're the ones I love. They're sweet and tiny. But Michigan and North Carolina have some really good blueberries too. So. Now I flipped the pancakes over and they're cooking on the other side. You can see they have a nice golden brown color to them, and they're just puffed up just enough. So you don't want to cook them too long on the other side because you have the blueberries and the chocolate, so you don't want to scorch either one. So it's always better to cook it a little longer on the first side than the second side. Nana's tea towels, as she always tells you, she has trips from all around the world and she collects them. Well, she also gives them. So this is from one of her trips to Sicily. So I always enjoy using Nana's tea towels when she gives me one. Reminds me of the places that she's been and the great stories she's told. So you can see how the blueberries are nice and soft. Chocolate. I always do the chocolate chip last. As you can see, it tends to make a mess of the spatula. So you really need to make sure you have a couple when dealing with the chocolate. Pancakes are ready. Thank you so very much for joining Nana's Cookery. And I hope you enjoy this light and fluffy Mother Cloud's pancakes. They're really good, and I'd love to hear your comments.